Hi there everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jeanna, and if you're new here, I am a self-love and perfectionism coach. I make content over here about perfectionism, self-love, mostly mom stuff these days. I just found out about my second pregnancy. I am currently in my 13th week, so just hitting my second trimester, and I am giving you a little bit of a first trimester recap. This is the second time I'm doing this video. The first time, I was such a newbie watching that video, but I really wanted to document my journey. I thought it was super interesting. I was really proud of it. I did a lot of research around hormone balance and fertility and getting pregnant, so I thought that would have been a very interesting video to film. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about all the symptoms of my second pregnancy in comparison to my first, as well as how things have changed, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, and just some of the things that I'm kind of used to now. I'll share some resources, but if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe if this is a video that you enjoy, or if you want to see more videos like this in the future. So if you have not watched my first video on this, make sure to click the link in the cards above, because I talk a lot about a lot of resources in comparison to fertility, getting pregnant, the steps that I took to improve my hormones. I was on birth control for 15 years, so I really did a lot of work for at least 16 months before getting pregnant for the first time. So if you want to watch that video and you're super interested about how I did that and what resources and books I read to get my body ready for that, make sure to click that link, or I'll link it in the description box below. And I will say, for both pregnancies, they were very well planned. So the first time around, it only took one cycle for us to get pregnant, and we were very, very grateful for that, very blessed. This time around, we actually had a very small window to get pregnant. I was told that I needed to wait till my son was at least 18 months because I did have a C-section, for my body to recover and heal after that surgery. So we did wait until that point. But me and my husband were traveling. We were in Scotland at the time, and we were kind of about to leave each other for a long period of time. Didn't know when we were going to see each other again through this summer, this journey. So we really had a very small window of time to try to get pregnant, try to conceive, and obviously I'm a little bit older. If you don't know me, I'm in my 30s already. I'm about 34, I am 34. So I'm a little bit later getting pregnant, so I didn't know the risks. I didn't know what was going to happen second time around, so I wanted to make sure that I gave myself at least the 2 months instead of the one that I had planned. So me and my husband had a very small window to get pregnant, just 2 months, actually 2 cycles, because we didn't know what was going to happen in the coming months. So we decided to try for those 2 months. The first month was unsuccessful. So the second month we took it a little more seriously and did a couple different things to get pregnant, and we actually got pregnant that second month. And like I said in my last video, because I know my body so well, schedule of my cycle, I know exactly how many days it is. It's 28 days exactly. So I was able to really track as soon as I missed my period. I knew exactly the day that I missed my period, 1 or 2 days after I was supposed to have it, that I was pregnant. So I took a test and it knew right away. So it was pretty early on that I knew. So I knew about 4 weeks in, which was as soon as I missed my period. And I'm not gonna lie, this was a very hard time for us. It still is right now. So to hear that good news, to hear that hope of a new baby, a new life growing in my belly, it was a really big blessing for us. It feels a little stressful right now just because I'm taking care of a toddler by myself while also experiencing the first trimester symptoms. But it was a huge relief and a huge sigh for me of hope, because I really thought that I was, getting old. My hormones were going to be all messed up, and it was going to be a lot harder for me to get pregnant, like most of the world and most of my friends. So I was very lucky and very thankful that it only took 2 cycles this time around. We had a couple different ways of revealing. So we obviously had to Zoom call a couple people or Facebook call a couple of people, my mom and a few other family members. but the way that I revealed to my husband was pretty much the same as last time. I just kind of got a little baby outfit and laid that out wherever he was going to be, and the pregnancy test that I took, and just recorded his reaction. So that was really funny. Definitely a lot more surprise, but also we kind of knew what was happening and what was coming because we kind of planned it a little bit. So it wasn't a complete surprise, but it was nice to see his reaction of that. And then the other times that we revealed to his parents, for example, my son wore a little shirt that said, sound the alarm, I'm going to be a big brother. So that was super fun to be able to do that. And then I've just posted some photos online to reveal that on social media. So kept it really chill with like our pregnancy reveal, and that's how we really wanted it. We're going through a lot right now, but I still wanted to make it very special. So we did a few things before we left Scotland, and then I've done a few things here while we're in Minnesota. And I'm not gonna lie, it still feels surreal. It feels like I'm just like bloated. It just doesn't feel like I'm pregnant. I think it's because I'm so distracted with my toddler and with another baby and just all the things happening around me. It just feels like I'm not hyper focused on it, which is why the time has gone by so fast, and it just feels like I'm not even pregnant. You know, I'm already into my second trimester, and it just feels like it went by in a flash in comparison to my first pregnancy, where I felt like every week I was taking a photo and I was looking at symptoms and I was getting really excited and researching, and it just, I don't know, I just feel like this time around it's gone by really, really fast. So I'm trying to cherish every moment. I'm trying to document things as well as I can, hence why I'm making this video. And I got another Growing You book that I mentioned in, I want to say, my second trimester recap video, where I document, you know, feelings that I'm feeling or any symptoms week by week. So I'll make sure to link that resource below too. So my first pregnancy, I did not really feel many symptoms until about 10, 11, 12 weeks. That's where I really felt more of the nausea, but not many symptoms other than that. This time around, I felt things right at 4 weeks. So right at 4 weeks, I felt very bloated, very bloated. I felt dizzy, lightheaded. I felt the nausea right away, and it was getting hotter in Scotland, and they don't have any AC. So the symptoms were a little bit worse when I was hot. So definitely felt the symptoms way early on, right at that 4-week mark, which was completely different from my last pregnancy. They stayed pretty consistent, not as bad when we came back over, but around the 10-week mark, it definitely got worse. So I felt a lot more nausea. I actually had to wake up and have crackers right away because I could not get out of bed without wanting to vomit. I didn't actually vomit though. I have never vomited in my pregnancies. I vomited one time my last pregnancy because of a food aversion, but other than that, I've never thrown up at all. Just feeling like I'm gagging or like I'm going to throw up, or very nauseous and dizzy, but no vomiting. So to ease some of that nausea, and I definitely feel like it is way worse this pregnancy than it was the first time around, but I don't know if it's also because it's summertime, and my last pregnancy, it wasn't as hot, it was cool, it was the fall going into winter season in my first trimester, and this time around it's just hot. I'm running around chasing a toddler. We've potty trained him, so I'm dumping out like his business, so it feels like I'm just exposed to more disgusting smells and more heat and things. So maybe that's why I'm feeling more nausea, or it could be that it's a girl and there's more estrogen floating through my body and there's just more symptoms. I'll talk more about the symptoms, but they are definitely a lot worse with girls, they say. So here's hoping, but with whatever gender we have, I'll be very, very happy. But again, all the symptoms have been a little bit more intense this time around. Other than the crackers being by the bed, I definitely loved my carb-heavy meals, but I didn't have as much fast food this time around. The first time around, I felt like I was always at Chick-fil-A, but maybe that's just me. But we did not hit up that much fast food this time around because I was feeding my toddler. I wanted to make sure we have balanced meals for him, so I didn't want him to see me shoving my face full of like French fries all the time. So we did eat very balanced meals, nutritionally dense. I did have my fair share of like, you know, convenience foods like pizzas and burgers and things like that, but they were all mostly homemade. Much like my last pregnancy, I feel like I definitely have to keep eating consistently every couple of hours. I can't get too hungry and I definitely can't get too full. So I'll have smaller plates of food and I'll eat more throughout the day in smaller quantities, because if I get too hungry, I get nauseous, and I get too full, I get nauseous, which was very similar to my last first trimester. So I didn't use too many resources to help with nausea. Again, the carb heavy meals and eating consistently, but also sparkling water. That's really all that I did. I was recommended to get B6 again. I got it my last pregnancy, but this time around I just didn't bother. I knew what I needed to do. I just needed to eat consistently and have something bubbly or ice cold water, which really helped ease the symptoms as well, but no like peppermint tea this time. In the beginning when I first got here around 10 weeks, I did have to sniff some peppermint oil a few times, but that was kind of it. That's all I did for my nausea, and it has seemed to work pretty well. Also around 10 weeks, I feel like my belly popped all of a sudden. And they say in your second pregnancy that your abdominals are stretched already and they're a little bit more weak, obviously. So they will show a lot earlier. And I will link an article down below of second pregnancies and different symptoms that you experience. I wish that this was more mainstream, because there's a lot of mixed emotions and guilt and shame around their, you know, women's bodies second time around. They feel like they look fatter. They feel like they're comparing their first pregnancy constantly, and I was definitely in that boat too. I would look back at my 10-week photos from 2 years ago and my 10-week photos now, and I'm like, wow, I look so much bigger. But I wish that I would have known that the body is intentional this way, and it's remembered what your body's supposed to do. It's already stretched out. It's ready to go. And this happens to everyone, not just me. So it's nice to know and have that information at the ready. Reading this article has been really, really enlightening for me, really reassuring, and made me feel like I'm not alone in this experience of feeling like I should hide my bump. I didn't feel comfortable in my first trimester. I'll talk a little bit more about this in another section, but yeah, I definitely felt like I popped a lot early than my last pregnancy. Around the 11-week mark, I felt extreme fatigue. I'm still kind of going through that, but it could also be the heat. It could also be all the things I'm doing and taking care of a toddler. So it's really hard to tell what those symptoms are really related to pregnancy or just #life, but I've definitely felt extremely tired this time around. I was also feeling those symptoms in my first trimester just because that kind of goes along with the nausea symptom, tiredness, but it is, I think, affected me a little bit more because I'm taking care of another child. It definitely feels like I'm dragging my feet constantly and I can't get anything done. Because my blood is being pumped a little bit harder, more blood is being pumped, I'm constantly hot, I'm constantly sweating, constantly out of breath as well already, going up staircases and things. So I felt very hot in the summer. I couldn't be in the heat for very long. I have to always have ice water with me. I cannot have just like regular water out of the tap. It just disgusts me and I don't drink as much. I constantly had to be maintaining like cool temperature and just very flowy attire, making sure I stayed cool because it is hot. It is hot, and when you're pregnant, it's even worse, and it just feels gross. But I will say I am extra grateful that I do not have to be in my third trimester in the summer. Baby is a winter baby, so thank goodness. My last one, not so much. To go along with food, I actually did not have any cravings. No cravings. My last pregnancy, I had more of like a savory craving. I was loving my like everything bagels, but then I realized this time around that I actually just love everything bagels and savory snacks and savory dishes. So I really don't think that that's a craving. I think I was just craving carb heavy things because I was feeling nauseous. So no like specific cravings or anything like that. This is kind of a weird one, and I don't remember if this was a symptom in my last pregnancy. probably. But I have a lot more discharge, so a lot more vaginal discharge this time around. This is a little TMI, but I feel like I have to change my undies like at least twice a day. It just feels like there's a lot of fluid going through my body, especially in that area. So if you're experiencing that, it could be more estrogen in the body as well. I'm really praying, you guys. I'm really praying it's a girl. But again, like different from my last pregnancy, and I definitely felt like this is a new symptom I'm experiencing. And the last symptom I've experienced is a little bit of our hormonal acne down here on both sides. It could be, you know, my eating habits of like carb heavy things, a little more sweets, but not anything unusual, or it could be the hormone levels in the body. I know, like I said, with girls with more estrogen in the body, you do experience more hormonal acne, more bloating, more nausea, things like that. So I don't think I experienced a lot of acne in my first trimester. I could be wrong, but it is a very common symptom to get it on the lower half of your face. I wanted to deep dive a little bit further into my emotional symptoms. So I definitely have felt a little more relaxed, a little more low-key about this pregnancy for sure. But I felt very self-conscious in my body, a lot more insecure, which I've been watching a few first trimester recaps, and the symptoms are very common, very relatable. A lot of women experience this apparently, and it could be because your body has already shifted, it's already changed, you're comparing it constantly to your first pregnancy, and that's never good. Comparing yourself to someone else or to your past self, it can be helpful in some ways, but not helpful when you are just nitpicking your body and critiquing it and just not happy with the appearance. So what I've done is I just had to take a step back and slow down and figure out what these emotions I am feeling are, and just honoring where my body's at. I think for a lot of us in our second pregnancy, we feel a bit embarrassed that we're showing so early and that our body is protruding very early on, and that in-between stage of when you're like not quite showing a belly and you know you're still kind of puffy and bloated, it can make you feel very insecure about your body and wanting to hide it. So I was definitely in that position, but it's a very common feeling for women in their second pregnancy or even third. Your body just changes so much in that first time around that it never really goes back to the way it was. And I think just taking the time and accepting that, and really honoring your body where it is and what it has done previously, and what it has endured and what it will do again. So taking the time to really reflect on that and give yourself some self-love in this moment, because it is a long journey, this pregnancy, and you are growing a life, and it is a significant miracle, and taking the time to really just think about that and really being thankful for what your body can do. I also feel like this time around I'm feeling a lot of guilt because I'm not as attached to this pregnancy. I don't feel like I'm hyper focused on it, like I said, which makes me feel guilty that I'm not, you know, doing all the things like journaling and really feeling my belly and celebrating, and so I've really had to just take the time to do that, and to post the progress photos and to talk about my pregnancy, which is why I'm making these videos. I didn't want to like skim over this pregnancy because it is a life, it is important, and I never want to take this experience for granted. You know, this could be my last pregnancy, this could be my last child, and I don't want to feel like I'm being distracted from it. I do want to take the time to celebrate it and be grateful, and honor where I am. But yeah, it's been a bit rough. It's been a bit weird. Just really an interesting experience. Definitely feel older, wiser. Like I've learned so much in my first pregnancy, which is why I'm probably really chill about everything. Yeah, it's been interesting. Like I'm sometimes even forget that I'm pregnant. I've had to really just talk to friends and have some outlets to just chat and just talk about my pregnancy a little bit more, because sometimes I forget that it's happening. So seek out support if you're going through anything to do with insecurities of your body. Seek out support from moms that have been there, that have bodies similar to yours, who you don't feel like you're comparing it with. Never compare it to your old self. If it's destructive, for you, just know that this experience is a new chapter of your life, and your body will continue to grow and change, and always meeting it where it is. So again, with the body, we are talking about movement now. So there hasn't really been much movement going on. A few walks here and there with my son, nothing too strenuous. Stretching was even kind of hard. So there really was not much going on in that department. In this new space that we're in, there are a lot of stairs, so I'm constantly going up and down stairs, which can itself be exhausting. So that is working my body. Chasing a toddler all day, that is also working my body. The last time I was pregnant, I was not really doing much either, maybe some stretching and that's it. But I really feel like first trimester, you just cannot do much at all in regards to movement or exercise. So I did what I could. I made sure not to exhaust myself, because I did need a lot of sleep. I was sleeping a lot more than usual, as much as I can, but didn't sleep in as much, obviously. So things we'd do outside would be like the playground, parks, we'd go to the beach. So we were getting tons of outdoor time, outdoor movement, but nothing in regards to exercise. That's pretty much it for my symptoms and body things. I'll show you a bump update at the very end, but I definitely have seen a difference in my bump, but it still feels very familiar to me. It doesn't feel weird. Again, it feels like I am coming back into my body, which has been really nice. I actually really enjoyed being pregnant the first time around, so it feels nice to be able to show it off and honor it, and just get excited about this pregnancy as well. Not too many resources to share. Like I said, I do a lot of research before I do something, so I took all that knowledge with me this time around too. Some of the apps that I love, the Bump, as soon as I found out that I was pregnant, I put that due date into that app, and I've been getting weekly, even daily updates from them. They have tons of articles to read through, and they show you these little updates of what your body is doing and what your baby is doing inside your belly, and it's just so cool to see. I even get Bump updates for my son, who's now 2 years old. I was getting monthly informational articles to read from them as well. To track my cycle, I was also using the same app I was using the first time around, which is Clue. It tracks your cycle and your periods. You can pay for a premium to get a little bit more information, a little bit more benefits, but I just use it just to track my period and track the potential ovulation window, and it was spot on, obviously, because we ended up getting pregnant the second time we tried. So it's a great app if you want to keep track of your periods and when you are most fertile in that ovulation window. Great app. And the last app that I use is just to take my photos. I used the same one the last time. It was called Baby Story, and you can just add these little fruits. They're super simple. I love a good minimalist photo, so I'm using that one this time around again, and I'll make sure to link them below. Again, for books, I am not buying too many books around pregnancy this time. The only books that I will consider buying are ones about siblings, about my son going through getting another baby into the home. So I want to do a lot of research in regards to that aspect. But I do have already a lot of newborn books and a lot of books around pregnancy, so I won't really be getting too many this time around. The ones that I do love are Mama Natural, which is a week-by-week guide for your more natural pregnancy, more natural birth. And I'm not really doing too much digging. I'm mainly just skimming, making sure that I am just up to date with what's going on in that week and that trimester, and what sort of holistic things that I can add into my diet diet within reason. The other one I really skimmed through was Real Food for Pregnancy by Lily Nichols. Loved that one too. She talks a lot about meal plans and if you're going dairy-free or gluten-free, how to eat the most nutritionally balanced meals for your pregnancy. I do love her book. I wish she had a little bit more recipes in there. That would have been nice, but a lot of information around nutrition and supplements. So love those two books for sure. And to talk about supplements, I am taking only 3 supplements currently. I'm about to have more appointments with my doctor, so hopefully they might be able to look at my bloods and maybe recommend some more things. But as of right now, I'm just taking my favorite probiotic, Seed Probiotics. And if you haven't watched my video, make sure to click the link in the cards or down below. It's a great video. I talk through why I love it and how I've benefited from it. I also am taking a DHA from Nordic Naturals, great brand. It's like a strawberry flavor, which was actually pretty nice. I don't have a fishy smell or taste in my mouth, which is great. And then the last one is the Garden of Life prenatals, which is the second time around I'm taking these. I actually started taking this brand specifically a couple months before I got pregnant, but I actually have not stopped taking a prenatal since I started taking them my first pregnancy. So because I'm kind of in that baby making conception time of my life, I figured consistently taking a prenatal is a-okay with me, gives me lots of nutrients in my body regardless, and it's still giving me everything that I need from a multi as well. Just a couple more things in this video before I show you my bump. With self-care and self-love, I've really tried. I feel like I was a lot more luxurious with my self-care routines in my first pregnancy just because I had the time. And I wasn't distracted by another kid. You know, if you're a mom of multiples or have a kid already and pregnant, you will understand completely what I'm talking about. You are dedicating all your time, all your energy to this life, to this human, and trying to teach him the ways and just get through toddler experiences. I mean, it is rough, these toddler years, beautiful, but rough. So I have done my best with self-care. Like I said, with my eating, I have not eaten much fast food. I've really tried to focus on nutrition and eating a little bit better, a lot more vegetables on my plate, not as many heavy meals. So that's been really great. I've been getting a little bit more sleep, so going to bed a little bit earlier. We do wake up at the same time every day, so it's not like I can sleep in, but I will sometimes nap when my son naps and also go to bed a little bit early. So I definitely took advantage of the sleep aspect. And then the last 2 things I've done, I got a haircut recently at the Aveda Spa, which felt so great. Felt like I needed to indulge in that experience. Definitely deserved it. And I have been focusing on skincare. So because it's a great pampering thing that you can do at home, and I always feel good after a good skincare routine, I've made sure to add things that I really love, like good moisturizers and sprays and things like that to my routine, because I can't get to a massage or I can't get to the gym or, you know, things like that at the moment. But so I'm doing what I can with what I have, and that's my skincare routine, which feels so good after a long day. The last thing I wanted to chat about was our birth plan update. So as of right now, we are actually using a doctor versus a birthing center. So there's a few reasons why I decided to go that route. One, because my last labor and pregnancy, just labor and birth was pretty intense, pretty traumatic. If you have not watched that, make sure to click the link below or in the cards. It was a 56-hour birth and it was very intense. And we started at a birthing center, had to get transferred, and then ended in a C-section. So it was definitely a different experience than what I had expected. So we are going the hospital route this time, just to make sure that I feel nice and safe, and I'm more of a high risk this time around because of my last birth. So I figured being in that environment already will make me feel a lot less tense, more safe. Not that a birthing center is not safe, But they do say when you go into a birthing center for the first time, you know, this experience using the birthing center is for parents or moms, women that are very healthy, that know their bodies, that are prepared for a birth with no medication, and do, you know, all the right things with their nutrition and are low risk pregnancies. So because of my last one and being a C-section, I just want to be safe. I could have definitely gone with a birthing center this time around as well, but because it's my first vaginal birth, hopefully VBAC, vaginal birth after C-section, it will be my first experience with this, so I wanted to feel very secure, very safe. With that, I talked to our doctor already and talked to her about some of the requests and wishes that I had attached to my birthing plan the last time around. Very natural birth, no medication, things like that. So those are definitely options for us this time. So like this book that I read for my last pregnancy, the Mama Naturelle. She talks about all the different options in regards to your birthing plan. I also did a little bit of research in my hypnobirthing class. There are so many options and so many things that you can do with your birth, whether you have Pitocin or not, whether you have an epidural or not, whether you have a C-section or not. You may have just an epidural and a vaginal birth. You may birth in the water. Like there's endless options. You may have, you know, the birth that puts the baby straight on the chest, not a lot of tests afterwards. So there's lots of options in regards to how you want to go about having this experience. So I've decided on no medication as of right now, no epidural, and no C-section, obviously, nothing planned or anything like that. So I'm going to try to stick to what I had with my first pregnancy, which was very natural at the birthing center. They do have an option at this hospital currently that we're involved in for a tub to be in the room. So I won't be able to birth in the tub, but with a doctor, I will be able to, I will be able to labor in the tub, which will give me that experience of my first pregnancy. Not fully, but it will definitely give me a taste of what that is. And it's supposed to be very comforting and relaxing for your labor. So those are the current updates that I have. We are also, during the pregnancy, not going to be having a lot of ultrasounds. So I did have to have one the first time just to make sure I had a baby in there. And then I will have one at the 20-week anatomy scan. I will not get a 3D scan because that is a bit invasive of the baby. A lot of heat, a lot of radiation going on there. So I want to make it as less invasive as possible, more natural. So the anatomy scan will be the only ultrasound that we get moving forward. So with that, we will not have a lot of invasive procedures or medication with this pregnancy as well. So my last labor and birth did not go the way that I had expected and wanted to, and this time around will be exactly the same. It will probably go different than what I expected to. But I wanted to lay out some wishes and some requests and some preferences beforehand so that I can either tell a doula that we hire or whoever's in the room with me or my doctor, and I want them to be able to honor that as much as possible. And regardless of the birth that you have or what experience that you're in, it's always better to know the information before going in so that you can make really informed choices and feel empowered with those as well. And even if you feel like you really want to go through with a more natural birth and you're scared of going to a birthing center, you don't feel secure with that decision, just know that you can always make informed, healthy, more natural decisions within a hospital setting as well. And I recommend reading that book, The Mama Naturelle, for more information on choices that you can make in that environment. All right, so I'm going to show you my bump. All right, so pretty low, like mostly in this area. You can't really tell with my pants, but yeah. That's what it looks like from the side, from the front. So definitely bigger than my last pregnancy, but like I said, that is completely normal. Your body has already stretched, so I wouldn't have expected anything less. So that is my first trimester recap. Hopefully it was interesting for you. I think the more interesting part for me was comparing it to the first and how things have shifted and changed and how it's a lot more like chill and low-key, but still very emotional and can bring up a lot of bubbled up feelings of hiding yourself and guilt and just insecurities. So I encourage you, if you're going through that, please seek out support and seek out help from other people. Please go ahead and follow and look at other people's content about real, authentic pregnancies, real people, and who show their flaws and insecurities as well. I think it's important that we share this information with other people because it really helps us to connect with one another on a deeper level when we show our imperfections and show the real person that we are. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll make sure to come out with a second and third trimester recap. Hopefully I'll come up with a third, and hopefully I don't deliver early this time around again. Stay tuned for any other videos regarding my pregnancy, as well as my 2-year-old toddler, as well as any perfectionism and self-love content. If you have any suggestions for me around videos that you would like to see, please leave comments below, DM me on Instagram, all of the things above. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any suggestions or questions about anything I mentioned in this video, shoot me a message or put a comment down in the comments below. So I hope you like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.